So, hello and welcome to the Human Behind the Career Brand podcast. So, I'm the host, Jeanette Walton. I'm a career brand consultant and humans matter champion, and I'm committed to helping others deep dive into their many human facets that make them unique, fabulous beings. The research in current times is indicating that humans more than ever are craving human connections across both professional and consumer contexts. And this is despite, and possibly even because of, the onslaught of AI and other digital technologies. My primary passion with this podcast is to inspire each of us to value and appreciate our multifaceted strengths, experiences, and offerings. And that's both as professionals and as human beings. And to highlight that human stories and connections will always matter, both personally and professionally. So I'm delighted to introduce my next guest for this podcast series, who is Caroline Epskamp. So Caroline is a business and program administrator. She's been doing that for many years and is currently working at the Peter MacCallum Cancer Centre. She's also been a Horsey for many decades. Her passion for all things equestrian began at the ripe old or early age of 13, when she purchased her first horse with very limited knowledge. And it's been a constant presence in Caroline's life ever since, with her horses treated as family members rather than commodities, as they can be. And it's probably most likely influenced some of the house and property moves that she's made over the years. Caroline currently lives on 100 acres in East Gippsland, Victoria, with multiple horses. Caroline's lifetime with horses has included participating in showing and jumping, as well as dressage, which she particularly took a liking to. She's often taken on the more challenging horses, such as ex-racehorse and quarter horses, with pretty iffy or not so great backgrounds, as well as foals, including her latest one, Doug, who's fundamentally influenced a change in her horse training approach, with the horse's individualised nuances and needs front and centre. This has led Caroline to focus less on external validation from equestrian competitions, etc., and more on developing a partnership with each of her horses, working alongside them at their own pace. So welcome, Caroline. It's really lovely to have you here.
Thanks
So
for having me.
I just wanted to delve firstly a little bit deeper into how you first got into horse riding and why it's become a long-term passion of yours.
Well, it was not a lot of thought was put into it, which was probably not a good thing, but it worked out in the end. I was a competitive roller skater from a young age, and my body was broken pretty young. The age of 13 or 14, I decided that I couldn't skate anymore. My knees weren't up to it, but Mum said, well, you need a hobby. And some friends had horses.
Yes.
So I thought, well, we'll just get a horse then. We lived in Rowville some time ago. Rowville was very rural, so there was lots of space around. Lots of people had horses.
I remember all the paddocks there. Yeah.
So off we went and brought a horse, which was totally inappropriate for a beginner, but anyhow, you work it out.
What was your first horse's name?
She was Mecca. Yeah, well, she was an Arab horse, so I guess appropriately named. Would not probably purchase that horse now as a first horse. Anyway, we
In
had
hindsight.
we had her until she aged, and we learnt a lot along the way, as we've done with every.
What would you say
horse.
What would you say one of the key lessons were from that first horse, Mecca?
Well, you think when you're young and stupid, you think you know everything, don't you? And horses have a very innate way of holding a mirror up and saying you don't know anything. She taught me how to stay on. She gave me a good seat, and good balance. But she also taught me, I think, just about, there's less that you need to go out, you need to learn, you need to seek instruction, you need to inhale all the information that you can inhale that's around you.
I grew up, I grew up with multiple friends with horses, and so I spent a lot of time with them.
Yeah.
Dinking on the back. But yeah, I was always a bit nervous of horses because they definitely have their own minds, don't they?
Yeah, and it's sensible to be like they're big animals. They can kill you, right? Pretty easily. So it's actually sensible. It's not a silly thing to be wary of horses if you don't know them. And I mean that goes to any animal you don't know or understand. You should be just careful. Yeah.
Yep.
And there's so much misinformation in the non-horsey world about horses. Don't go behind a horse, it'll kick you.
Kick you. Yes, I remember that one.
which is so random because
It's a bit like old wives' tales, yeah?
it's a bit of an old wives' tale. Yes, a horse can kick, but they generally need a reason, not just because you're going to. I mean, if you suddenly jump off a fence and land behind them on your 2 feet and give them a fright, yeah, they might kick out of fright and defense. But if you're walking around them, you tend to just develop a sense of your body, where your body's sitting with their body, and you're sort of touching them all the time. So they know where you are. They're generally
Energy
not
too,
going.
yeah? Imagine it's the
Yeah,
energy you give off as
yeah,
well.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're doing more and more research and studies on like scientific studies with horses and humans and why people get such a good mental health benefit from being around them. You know, they use them as therapy animals a lot now.
Yeah, they do for in the disability sector, for instance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, they're yeah, they really do hold a mirror up to you. And sometimes people don't
Yeah,
like what
lovely.
they see.
And was there a pivotal moment where you just went, "This is for me," and that's sort of why you've continued to be involved with horses for
You
the
know,
rest
I
of your
don't think
life? Or is it just something that's naturally evolved?
think what it is that ultimately a horse to me is always I've always felt whenever I've taken on or any animal, you know, is that deep responsibility towards that animal that you've taken on. So where some people would, you know, especially when, you know, you get a horse when you're young and then you might want to be going off to uni or traveling, some people will sell their horse on to free up, you know, to make a change in their life and change direction, where I never felt I could do that. I never wanted to do that. I mean, there's sometimes where I think, oh, I wish I didn't have horses because then I could do X, Y, Z. But I've always felt that deep responsibility to that animal to see them through, really. I've never
And
sold a
it's
horse
obviously a
on.
deep-rooted passion, yeah, to have horses around
Yeah,
you.
they're just lovely to have around. Like, I don't even care, you know, the riding's such a small percentage. I don't ride a lot anymore. And
Yeah, okay.
two of the horses I've got are retired. Like they're quite old, but they're lovely to
Yeah,
be around. The oldies, they're lovely to be around because they've just got such a settled presence about them. Especially, you know, they've got their routine, don't upset their routine. And they're just really lovely. They're just lovely to have around and
yeah.
you know,
They're
it's
such beautiful, beautiful animals, yeah? They have to be
yeah,
one of the most beautiful
they're
animals.
very unique. Yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think so. And
So
they'll
how would you sorry,
no,
you go.
sorry, you go.
I was just going to ask, how do you think I was going to ask about horse riding, but I guess we should keep it a bit broader. So what do you think the benefits have been to you personally from being around horses for so many decades?
Well, I mean, obviously they have a physical benefit, right? There's so much involved in caring for horses without even sitting on their back. You know, there's paddocks to maintain, manure to pick up every day, feeding, just, you know, every year you get 300 bales of hay that you've got to, you know, lug and stack and then lug that out daily. Just physically, they keep you moving. You've got to get up in the morning and give them breakfast. You know, you've got to then feed them at the end of the day, grooming them, just looking after everything just is a physical, you know, you've got to move your body. And then to ride
A
them,
bit like dogs, dog walking.
it's the same thing, you know,
Yeah,
it's the same thing. Then and then to ride, you need to have a level of fitness, of balance. And as you know, when you're young, you can just jump on that horse. But as you get older, you know, you've got to start doing multiple Pilates classes every week. Um,
keep yourself limber.
and stretching. Well, and to keep your balance, because you really need that core to, you know,
Yeah,
to stay balanced on the horse. And for the horse's balance as well. You know, it's very important that the rider's balance, so the horse is balanced. And you're not, you know,
yeah,
holding on. You shouldn't be holding on to the reins or your legs to stay there. Ideally you just sit on top. So yeah, they
okay,
and then
yep, okay,
mentally as well, you know, you've got to you're constantly considering another species like an animal, and
yeah, yeah,
they're a big animal, and things can go wrong with them very easily as well, like health wise.
yep,
So
yeah,
so you have to deal with that as
yes.
well.
They're expensive, aren't they? They're expensive to maintain, horses.
They are expensive. Often the cheapest part is buying the horse, and then
Yeah.
and then that's influenced by the weather. If there's an abundance of grass, well, then you don't need to feed them as much. But if there's a drought, then you've got to be prepared to feed them. And then there's the farrier. There's a farrier every 6 weeks. Mine aren't shod; they're just trimmed. There's all the gear. There's rugs. There's vets that you hopefully
It's
never see.
obviously been worth it to you, though. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think so. I mean, like the lifestyle we have, and like you said, it has influenced where we live. So you can be in an apartment, but you can't keep your horses at home with you. And I feel very privileged that I can have my horses here with me at home. Did used to adjust a long time ago. I'm fully sympathetic to people that do adjust, and it can
All
be
my
easy.
friends were adjusting. Yep.
In some ways, it can be
Yeah.
easier because you're not responsible for that property. I have
Yep.
one friend here who she adjusts 2 horses here, and that's nice though, because it's nice to have the company as well. Like her and I are sort of on the same wavelength with training, so it's nice we can help each other out.
Must be lovely too to look out of your window and see your horse, having your cup of tea in the morning, for instance, seeing your horses out there grazing, yeah? A
Yeah, well,
beautiful
like
way to start the day.
yesterday it was I looked out and they were all asleep, and that's really nice when you
Really?
yeah, when you see them all sleeping. It's
They're
that's
relaxed.
it means they're happy. It means they're relaxed because horses
Yeah,
generally don't lay down
100%.
if they don't feel safe. They generally won't lay
Yeah.
down. So it's
Well,
nice when you look out
kudos
there.
to you.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I can imagine.
I mean it's lovely and quiet where I live. We're pretty
Yeah,
remote, so I'm spoilt
yeah.
in that regard. I'm pretty spoiled, and and
So
I'm
if we think about, sorry,
no, go ahead.
if we think about your career, so, you're in
Yeah,
program administration at the moment,
yeah.
and it can be other roles that you've been in. What do you think the benefits of being a horsey have been in terms of you being as a professional?
Well, I guess initially, I mean, way back when I started my life as an animal tech. So I've got a diploma in an applied science. Started working in boarding kennels. So I mean, my goal, I did want to work with animals, which I did for like a long time. And
Mm.
so I had the anatomy, the physiology training, all that husbandry training that, I learned, and then also constantly being around horses and all my other pets, they sort of swung from one to the other, one helped one. With
And what about in your more recent career, like in terms of working in administration and mostly in healthcare or
yeah.
medical research? What do you think? Is there any way that you think being involved with horses has enhanced your capabilities when you go to the workplace?
Well, I think so. I mean, as you know, I work 100% remotely from home. So it's nice that it's always a point of just small talk with if you're
Yeah.
meeting new colleagues or clients. There's a lot of people. I'm always surprised how interested people are that don't have horses in their life, that they think it's,
So it's a
you know,
conversation starter or an
it's a
icebreaker.
conversation starter. And because a lot of people,
Yeah.
I think there's still a lot of women out there, mostly women. There's probably men too that are hit a certain age and get wistful and think, I always wanted a horse and I didn't have one. So
Yes.
it's
Yes.
a conversation starter, but for me, it's also, I mean, there's been times where if I'm stuck with a work problem or if there's just something, you're just hitting a block, I'll just down tools and go outside for half an hour. I'll do what I'll go and do some manual labor, and you reset yourself.
Nice.
You reset yourself
Yep.
outside and then you come back and the problem seems to have resolved itself. But I mean, not everyone can do that in their workplace.
No. No, of
I'm
course. But
privileged
I
that,
guess what's something that I was thinking and what that's probably just highlighted is it helps to keep you grounded being around
yes,
horses, yeah?
yes,
And that can be
right.
transferred into workplaces like dealing with stress and et cetera.
Yes. Oh, yes, because I mean, often, if you've got a horse that's being tricky or they're upset about a situation, you can control how you react to that situation.
Yes.
You can't,
Yes.
at the end of the day, and you can influence the animal. And,
Yep.
generally it's like that because they feel unsafe. So it does help you, as in if you learn how to manage a 500-kilogram animal in a nice, understanding, empathetic way.
Patient.
I
Yeah,
feel like
patient.
I'm pretty okay at handling a person in a nice
Yeah. Yeah,
empathy.
that's a really great analogy of the benefits of being involved with
Yeah,
horses and how that can be then applied to people.
yeah.
I just want to ask you. I like to do a bit of research before each podcast about this passion or hobby, and something I found online is that so we're both in Victoria. Australia's Victorian High Country has been listed online as one of the most popular horse riding locations in the world.
In
So
the
there's
world.
trees, mountains. Yeah, Man from
Well,
Snowy River movie.
yeah.
Why do you think that is? What is it
Well,
about
look,
being on horses up in those natural, rural, rugged
I
locations?
mean, I've ridden in the bush a lot, not the actual high country, but just to ride in the bush, it's just peaceful. And I can imagine up up in the high country, which I do spend a lot of time up there, but just not in a horse riding situation. It's
Snow skiing,
beautiful.
yes?
Well, skiing, yeah, and a bit of bushwalking. And I mean, it's beautiful
Yeah.
up
So
there.
it'd be the views, taking in the views.
The fresh air, the quiet, the peace,
Yeah, and I'm
very
just
passive
thinking
recreation, you know?
my previous podcast with Amanda, who's a poet, and she talked about how poetry makes you slow down. And I imagine that would be the same horse riding,
Yes.
particularly horse riding in a beautiful location, just makes you slow down mentally.
Makes you stop and you look around and you have to, and I mean, if you're riding a horse on a tricky track, you've got to pick your way through. You can't just
Yes.
I know the movies all have the horses galloping across plains. It's not that realistic. I mean,
Yes.
they're likely to
Yes.
break a leg. So you do have to quietly, and we've done, bush rides before where we've just sort of picked an animal track to follow. And yeah, your horse has mentally got to come back and think about every
Yes.
footfall. And that,
So it's like analytical or critical thinking as well that's applied. Yeah. If you're
yeah,
going out on a horse trail that you've not gone on before. Yeah.
yes. And it's interesting you say that because one of my favorite coaches who I work with in a clinic environment, he's an researcher. He was a science researcher and he's got a very critical thinking mind. And I think
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
why I like him as a coach because he doesn't say you do A, B, C and you will get D. His
Yes.
classic response is it depends, and he's very much that thinking mind.
So is that it depends on the horse
It depends on the
or
horse.
more
It
broadly?
depends on he's very much about getting the horse's mind very soft and changing the horse's thought. If you have the horse on board mentally with you, you get a softer and an agreeable response. So that's
Yeah.
why it's
Okay.
often it depends because it depends
Yes.
where is the horse at? How is he responding? You
What it's
ask him
been
a
through.
question.
Yeah.
You've asked them a question. How has he answered? Has he answered?
Yeah.
it's a very analytical way, critical way
Mm.
of training a horse. And it's actually really
And
hard.
again,
It's really
that's a lot of benefit to take into the workplace or your career. Yeah.
yeah.
That critical
Yes.
thinking and analytical thinking.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
because too many times people they don't want to do that thinking. They want to
Yeah.
just be told how to do something.
Yeah.
They
Yeah. You got to
don't
work
want
it
to
out
be
for yourself.
faced with a situation and work it out for themselves with the tools that they've got. And I mean, you see
Yeah.
it all the time when people want to absolve themselves of any responsibility. They just want to be told what to do. They don't like it
Yes.
when you say, well, it depends. Or,
Yeah. Yeah.
it depends.
Yes. Yeah. 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 So it makes you more adaptive and flexible as well.
Yeah, yeah, but you kind of
Yeah. I
gotta
love
have
that.
your tools in the toolbox. You've gotta have those tools there to know what to take out at the time.
Yeah. And And what would you say, so you've referred to others' superpowers as a horsey, what
Yeah.
would you say is your main superpower in terms of being a horsey? So a horse rider or horse handler?
Well, I mean, my answer 20 years ago would have been different to what it is now. I mean, as a rider, I've got good natural balance. Like, I would say that. But one thing that's the complete opposite of the superpower is I'm not a brave, but maybe that is, like, I'm not a brave rider. I'm a careful rider.
Yeah.
But in being that, it makes me very much be aware of where my horse is at mentally. Like, is he with me? Is he paying attention? Is he soft to the aids? Is he, or
So you
then,
tune into him, yeah? You
yeah,
tune into the way
because
he's behaving and
I'm not a brave rider, I think it's made me more aware of where they're at, because ultimately, you've got to keep yourself safe.
I was just going to say, obviously not being a brave, well, that's enabled you to keep going for all these years doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're sort of you're careful. You're careful. So
Yeah.
you sort of,
Yeah.
you're checking in with the horse before you get on them. Do I have a nice soft horse? Is he happy? Will he stand quiet at the mounting block? There's certain things that you have to say yes to, and then you go, right, well, cool, we're good to get on. But if they're not
Yeah.
presenting well, like if you're looking at your horse and they're in the paddock and they're clearly upset, well, you've got some work to do with them before you've got some work to do to make them feel, to put them in a good place before you proceed. And
Yeah.
letting go, I think a superpower that I've learned in the last few years is to let go of any agenda. You sort of have an idea when you go out for the day. Well, I might take my horse for a little ride today, but
Yep.
let go of that idea if it's not right. If a great big storm's blown
So if
up,
you want to,
they're not
or
happy.
if you want to go for a canter and the horse isn't up for it, yeah, just
You
go
don't
with
ask.
how the horse is behaving and
Yeah.
feeling.
Don't ask. Let go of the agendas. And as soon as you let go of the agendas, it's amazing how much further you often get with them, because you're
Yeah.
willing to change your pattern. You're willing to change the way, your ideas. And then you're not saying, well, we must do this. We must do this. And when it
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter, it's amazing the softness that comes, or you just enjoy whatever it is that you manage to have. It's
I
like
think that's a great philosophy for life,
I
not just
think it
horse
is.
riding. Let go and let things flow as they're meant to. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Absolutely. Yeah.
really, I don't know if it's an age thing, or,
Maybe. I guess, yeah, wisdom. Yeah.
life has its own
Now,
ideas at times.
yeah, yeah, we live and learn. So you've obviously probably got a lot of horse riding stories you could share, but just off the top of your head, what would you say would be your favourite horse riding story or experience?
Do you know, I feel like the fondest memories I have the fondest ones I have are just riding in the bush. Like, none of the ribbons, none of the competitions that I used to do, because a lot of those days were just fraught with worry and tension and agendas.
Getting everything ready.
And what's the weather doing, now? But I used to ride the horse that's retired now. We did a lot of bush riding and I loved it. And then my current horse, I'm not riding him in the bush. I'm going to say yet.
Doesn't like it?
Yeah, he's not a brave horse. He needs it. We're working on it. We're working on it. But
Is that Doug? Is that
yeah,
Doug?
that's Doug. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doug's not brave. But if we can find Doug a nice brave horse to go with, I think we might get there this summer. But that's what I miss, the bush riding. And I have really fond memories of being young and just hanging out with my friends when we had gisted together, and you just have these
Lovely.
whole days of just playing with your
Yes.
horses, and yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
fun.
lovely.
I think
Lovely. Now
that's
just
fun.
humour me with this question that I'm asking towards the end of each podcast. So if the world and your life was to end tomorrow or
Yeah,
shortly,
yeah.
what would your reflection be on the way horse riding and other horse activities have helped you to live a more fulfilling life?
I mean, you definitely develop a sense of community. in the horse world. Like the different clubs I've been involved with, being at different adjustments, or just the relationships that you meet along the way in your horse journey. Um, there's I'm very grateful for the large expanse of friends that I've made. I mean, when we moved down here, I didn't know anyone, but because I was immediately attached to a horse community, you make connections straight
Yep.
away,
Yep.
right? Because we have to be. I mean, if nothing else, you
It's
have
a
to find a
shared bond, isn't it? Immediately you've
yeah,
got this
yeah.
bond because you're both
And
passionate
and
about horses, yeah?
generally most people just want the best for they wanna do the best job that they can for their animal.
Yeah.
And so it's generally it's a helpful environment, and a supportive environment. Um, and I've also, developed a lot of a massive interest in animal welfare out of
Yeah.
the horse community as well.
So you just continue to grow and evolve from your involvement in horses,
Yeah, absolutely.
internally and externally. Yeah,
Yeah,
love that. Love that. And just one more question to humour me as a career brand
yeah.
consultant. What would be your ideal career branding to convey you as a multidimensional human who's passionate about horses? So if we were thinking about the core brand elements that you'd use to highlight that in addition to you being a program administrator, you're a horsey, what would be the core branding elements we'd use?
Like, do you feel like empathy,
Patience, like you talked about earlier.
patience, persistence as well? Like, there's
Yep.
patience
Yep.
and persistence, to keep
It's
just
balanced.
to keep plowing on,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're constantly just chipping away at the animal, like just to
Yep. Yep.
train them. Um,
Adaptability, like we talked about too, makes you a lot more
yeah,
adaptable.
yeah, adaptability, and you need to be organized to fit it all into your life as well.
That too. Organised.
You can't be
Yeah.
fussing about,
Yeah.
oh, you just won't get everything done. Good community, got to be able to communicate well verbally, but also in a very physical way. You use your
So
body
many
very
assets. So
physical
many
way.
assets that you can
Yeah,
transfer from horse riding
yeah,
over to what you do in your career. Well,
yeah.
that's all the questions, and we've run out of time, unfortunately, because I've loved this conversation. Particularly, I've got a far better understanding now about how you tap into the horse's energy as well. That's beautiful. I love that. Yeah, thank you so much for your time, Caroline. It's been such a pleasure speaking
Oh,
with you,
it's been my
and
pleasure.
keep on riding for as long as you can. I love it.
Yeah. Don't stop or
Take
it
care.
stops. Yeah. Thank you.
Exactly.